Hello. If this is your first encounter with the channel, as I suspect will be the case for most of you, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Philip, and I'd like to be the first to welcome you to my channel, On Thin Ice. Where most birds have their heads in the clouds, I've got both flippers planted firmly on the ground. And since navigating this modern age is like trying to walk on thawing ice, well, what better guide could there be than a penguin? Welcome aboard. On Thin Ice serves as a vessel by which I hope to offer an expression of my personal tastes and opinions. If you don't already find me insufferable, why not stay a while and settle in as I discuss today's particular fancy. Before I do, though, thank you for watching, and I do hope you enjoy. The place of analog media in today's world is uncertain, to say the least. The rise of streaming services, subscription-based video game catalogs, and other such means of digital reproduction have fundamentally changed the way we consume art in all of its forms. One could say that, in all of human history, art has never been more accessible than it is right now. Let's stop for a moment and think about what this really means. Is it objectively a good thing that art can be consumed by just about anyone these days? Because in my experience, very rarely are things black and white. Except for me, I guess, being a penguin and all, Anyways, as a certain Jedi Master once said on a planet in the Mustafar system, only a Sith deals in absolutes. This question merits a deeper look. First, we have to talk about the physical, or analog, presence of art. Let's say that I make a painting. Don't mock, it's expressionist, alright? Now let's say this painting of mine becomes very popular, and suddenly I'm hosting art shows with this original painting as the centerpiece attraction. People come from all over to view this stunning work. Soon enough, the time comes for me to donate my art for display in a museum, which I, the artist, am more than happy to do, as it broadens the reach of my work and extends it to more people. Here's where things get interesting. Let's say my painting only grows in popularity as a result of my decision to have it put up in a museum. The museum, knowing that they have a major attraction on their hands, fills their gift shop with t-shirts, puzzles, mugs, hats, and prints. This is my question. Do those reproductions of my work carry any of the energy or spirit of the original painting? Some, perhaps, but in my estimation, not all. If people who wanted to see my art would be totally satisfied by Googling a JPEG, then why would people even bother going to the museum in the first place? Simple. They wouldn't. It stands to reason, then, that there's some kind of energy, some intangible, that draws people to the first edition, the one-of-one original, the real deal, so to speak. This is not at all a novel idea, nor do I claim it to be. In fact, in 1936, Berlin-born Jew Walter Benyamin posited the self-same question in an essay titled The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, and he offered some profound insights. He wrote, "The desire of contemporary masses to bring things closer, spatially and humanly, is just as ardent as their bent toward overcoming the uniqueness of every reality by accepting its reproduction. Every day, the urge grows stronger to get hold of an object at very close range by way of its likeness, its reproduction. To pry an object from its shell, to destroy its aura, is the mark of a perception whose sense of the universal equality of things has increased to such a degree that it extracts it, even from a unique object, by means of reproduction." This idea of aura, could this be the intangible feeling I mentioned earlier? Sounds like it fits the bill, doesn't it? It's not enough to save a Google image of the Mona Lisa or the Starry Night to your phone. Oh no, you must go to the place at which the original's housed and marvel at its peerless excellence yourself. We as humans naturally want to close the distance between us and the best things that life has to offer. Watching a recording of Warriors-Cavaliers Game 7 from 2016 is one thing, but seeing it live is another entirely. You might know every word of Is This It by The Strokes and listen to the whole album on repeat via Spotify. But just wait until you've seen Julian Casablancas croon those same lyrics on a live stage. Rumors by Fleetwood Mac sounds great no matter how you listen to it. But why don't you come over to my place later, and I'll spin my first pressing vinyl of it straight from 1978. In both of these cases, the songs are virtually the same, but the way in which they are experienced changes. The perceived distance from us and these superstar moments is never closer than it is at that time. There are other things that share this effect. Sure, your paperback copy of No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy's neat, but check out this first edition printing of the book. Isn't that cool? I mean, I know it's the same words, but come on, first edition! This edition of the book is exactly the way the world received it when it was first released, and that stands for something, right? Maybe not, but that's not the point. The point is this. We collect things. We can't help but do so. The problem is that collecting things just doesn't feel the same when all you have to do is right-click, double-tap, or swipe on a screen to add it to a playlist, library, or some other digital collection. Despite the fact that a digital collection has many conveniences, a fact that I will freely admit, there is a certain satisfaction from leafing through your finite record collection and choosing one to listen to. There's something else that's quite nice about a physical collection. No one can take it from you barring robbery, petty thievery, or damage. I won't wake up tomorrow to find that my record collection has been taken away by the subscription service I pay for. Well, the same cannot be said for Netflix, Spotify, or the like. A particularly jarring recent incident reflecting the stark reality of quote-unquote digital ownership involves the games publisher Ubisoft. Earlier in 2024, they decided to pull the plug on one of their open-world games, called The Crew. This involved revoking access to the game from players, who had, by the way, paid money for the game. The outrage that followed uncovered an unsavory bit of fine print regarding digital media. You do not own it whatsoever. What you actually own is a license to use that media that can be taken away at any time for any reason, an action against which you are essentially powerless. I find it concerning that in a medium such as video games, where digital collections and game streaming are becoming more and more commonplace, protections on behalf of the digital libraries of players are founded on the corporate equivalent of a good faith handshake and a spoken promise to not do that. Until they do, of course. Then it's their right to do so without any justification at all. My take on the current state of affairs is this. Analog media will have as much a place in your life as you are willing to leave space for it. I've read countless books via cheap paperback copies, but my favorites? I have first editions of those. Not to open and read, mind you, but to allow their aura into my home. As silly as it may sound, it does feel special to have those books on my shelf. Suffice to say, I think the physical medium of art is important and necessary, just like paper money has to be backed by Fort Knox's supply of gold. A reproduction of art is only as valuable as the real thing. I'm Philip. This has been On Thin Ice, and again, thank you for watching.